Hi, everybody. My name is Rita Crompton, also known as the Inventor Lady and host of Invent America. And the last recording we did had featured Brandon Kollar. And so we get to do our video today so he can actually show you his very cool product and tell you a little bit more about the actual services he does offer to inventors. Brandon, thank you so much for being with us today.
Hello, Rita. Thank you for inviting me in.
So tell us about your product first, all right, so that everybody can see how cool it is and what you're doing to get it out there. And then we're going to ask you a little bit more about what you do offer to inventors, because I would love to get you on the show as a sponsor. There you go.
Thank you. We'll do some up close images, but I'll tell you the basics of it. So during the shutdown, I have a competitive shooting background, and a lot of my friends, neighbors, and customers were asking me to build them AR rifles. And you actually couldn't get one on the store shelf. You had to piece them together. And I had put a couple together myself and watched some horrible YouTube videos and used some cleaning mats. And I wasn't happy with what was on the market. And so I had helped enough people that I'm like, hey, there's an avenue for this. So I had actually started from scratch, made a foam holding template to hold all the parts for you, and then numbered them and made a live action diagram and an animated video to help you 1 through 31 steps, because I kind of like the white glove approach and the hand holding, because that's what I needed in my aspect versus struggling for hours and losing parts. So I took what was out on the market, looked at some price points, started with a foam prototype, and then just kept developing it further and further along. And then as I needed resources, either a videographer or a animator, I would start drafting those people out. Luckily, I'm in a major city, so I was able to find people that would work for me versus just doing online piecemealing it. I could actually talk to the person. I could get revisions, which is something I learned. When you want something, you give them the parameters of, hey, here's what you want, but you also want a couple of revisions built in so that you can make changes or move things around. No matter if you're making a sell sheet or you want something painted, you want to be able to fix a few things after the outcome. So that was one thing that I got to learn. And it was a big process. I was doing some training. I read a bunch of inventing books to find out what other people have done, because I'm like, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's people that have already written about this. There's videos, there's different aspects, there's promoting. So I want to learn what other people did and then just apply it to my product and go to the next step. And then I started the prototype. I started showing that prototype to wholesalers, so gun shops, pawn shops, and military shops. And I actually got pre-sales. So that was a huge benefit to be like, hey, I'm not crazy. People actually want this. They're willing to pay for it. And so that gave me the money, of course, to make like a whole batch. So that was exciting to make a batch of your product. And my first batch was 30. It went horrible. It wasn't right. It wasn't usable because I rushed it because I wanted it ready for it's called a gun show. So actually where you set up tables and people come visit you. And so I was literally at my first gun show selling a prototype, and people gave me money. They trusted me enough to mail them the piece when it was done. So almost like a baby Kickstarter, but I did have something tangible. And so I only sold 4 units my first show, but those are 4 people that didn't know me from Adam and trusted me to send them a product in the mail, which I think it's about 8 days later that I actually got the newest batch ready and mailed to them.
Good for you. Good for you. We had one gentleman, it's like we needed to be able to get him to a trade show, and we had to prove that he was selling product in the marketplace. So we loaded one. I'm not going to tell you where, but we loaded one somewhere that we thought there's no way anybody would buy it at this price. And by golly, somebody did buy it. And so it was just, a prototype. So we said, okay, we're going to give you a full refund on this when you send us now a testimonial on the product. Give us a review of the product. And oh my goodness, he was so excited because he reviewed it. He had his friends reviewed it. We must have gotten 5 or 6 reviews, and he got his money back and he got to keep the prototype.
That's amazing.
So it was really kind of funny. We said, nobody will pay this price for us, but it gave us the proof we needed to get into the show. And lo and behold, it took about, 10 days and people started buying them. It's like, okay, we need to get this off of there because all we have are prototypes right now. But people were willing to give us their feedback and we gave them their money back, which was really kind of fun.
That's a good story. That content's needed because you can put something out in the market and then there's the next step. You're like, hey, you need your first review. And you're like, what? I didn't even think about that. You gotta have someone else talk about it. You gotta have someone else unbox it. You can't just be you. And it's like, that's why at shows I would start interviewing people. I was like, hey, can I have a 30-second talk about this? Like, why did you buy it? And they would give me reasons I didn't even think about. And I was like, oh, that was so simple. And you bought it just for this one reason? Great.
Well, it's funny because we are, my husband and I are both getting lessons on how to take apart and clean and safely use our AR-15. And our second lesson is this afternoon. So when I said on the radio show, it's like, well, I get this because I've got one of these and we are in the process of learning how. And I could just, imagine those little springs going all over the place and crawling around on the floor looking for them. So fortunately, we have a very good teacher. And so we're looking forward to it. But I do understand it. Simply because I'm in the process of learning it. So thank you.
But you're one of these.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking about. Is like, oh my God, I need one of those like right now. So your marketplace is literally worldwide on this.
Agreed. And I've even seen people from Ireland and different countries look at my website, which I don't know how they came upon it, but they did. And it's like, hey, this is useful.
Good for you. So show us the product again. Give us a close-up, or a screenshot.
So I'm going to start sharing.
Okay.
And present. Sorry, I'm a little far away from the screen. Okay, you can see my window. It's loading. 1 second. You can see my window, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. So I'm actually going to go to my website that I had developed by someone I met in the IT world that could work on a website. Because the biggest thing I needed was a shopping cart. So I needed to be able to actually have the shopping feature of selling my product online, because when I launched the website, that was the part that was important to me. So the shopping cart, so I could actually take more sales for people. And I really thought it would just go viral as soon as I posted on my social media. And I only got a few orders, but it was educational, it was training. So now you can actually buy the product from my website that I've had open for over a year now, and I get different hits, and then it tracks shipping and everything else. So that's been easy. I also made coupon codes because that's useful when you're trying to promote it or if you're running a sale. So like either free shipping or a wholesale deal if someone wants to buy it off the website when I'm dealing with gun shops, pawn shops, military shops, because those are the people that I can go approach with 5 units to put it on their shelf or 10 units. And so I'll show you a little bit more. I started traveling around my local area, so that's why I'm very heavy in the Midwest, because I could go to my local gun shops. And then this is my retailer link that shows all the places that it's at. Luckily, I was at an event in Arizona a couple weeks ago, so I'm actually in Arizona now too, so I'm going to get that uploaded. But this has been a useful aspect when I'm going to talk to a shop, because I can say, hey, there's no one in your area that's carrying my product. And that shows them that they don't have competition against it, because they're actually there first. And then if someone's in the area looking, they can go find places. And so I make flyers for wholesale to show how people are demoing it, how people are presenting it, to show where my product goes with a certain product they're already carrying, like a lower parts kit or a lower receiver. I show them how I have law enforcement endorsements, competitive shooting endorsements, armors endorsements, that there's people that are actually buying this that are real gunsmiths because of its use.
Well, excellent.
One interesting aspect I liked about this also is once you launch the product, it goes into more and more. I got into affiliates because once I could have pro shooters and law enforcement and influencers, however you want to say, promoting it, I could get them their own custom URL. And then when they were sharing my product, they would actually get a $5 PayPal credit payment instantly. So if they were sharing it on their social media, I would have them pose with the photo of them holding the product or their review. And then people could go to their URL, it tracks it through cookies and all that great stuff, and then they would get paid for it immediately. So that was a big benefit too. And then I could see per month, like who was actually doing something, who was getting the click-through hits, and keep developing it and keep making it greater and greater. Because there were some people that wanted to carry it or they wanted to promote it. And so this was one other aspect. And then the majority of everything I do, I post to my professional page for my LinkedIn.
Okay.
That's a good way to like keep up with me and what I'm doing with shows, traveling around, where I'm presenting at is in my primary outlet for sharing videos, other than my YouTube channel for videos that I do, because I try to do things in the industry, such as doing it with you, because I want to talk to the gun community. So doing shows at the NRA, doing a radio show with Guy Relford was really beneficial, because that was the audience that actually looks at the product.
Excellent. So this, like I said, your market's worldwide on this product. It's a rather niche product for a very particular audience. But you've got other products that are in what I would look at as a broader industry. So without giving away any secrets, all right, tell us about some of the other industries now that you are developing products in.
It's more of like convenience items. So I laugh because somebody will buy something for $19.99 to save them 30 seconds, but they'll watch 4 hours worth of TV. And so I found those aspects of like a can opener that does one thing different than what other ones do, that they'll buy that because they want to save time, or flipping burgers, or just when you pair two things together and you're like, hey, that would be useful, and it's not always on the market yet. And then if you wait or you don't do anything with it, in 3 years, you'll see it and you're like, man, I thought of that a long time ago. And it's because it was useful and it was actually needed. So that's why I really like the product development side of it, that you can take something from scratch. Now with all the 3D rendering of working with developers of what you want it to look like, it doesn't have to have perfect specs and the inches. It just has to be, it looks like, works like prototype. You can spin it around, and then that way you can create marketing sheets and keep developing it, do pre-sales, or if you're wanting to license or manufacture, at least you've got more than a pencil sketch on a napkin. Like,
right. I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday, multiple conversations with different gentlemen. And it's like, well, I've been working on this for 10 years. And it's like, really? Might have wanted to move that along. And, then when he told me, it's like, oh, I'm not really sure about your marketplace, but go and do these things to help you with, well, he goes, I could hire a company to do it. And I go, no. You don't hire a company to do your market research. You need to ask the questions and see a face-to-face contact and hear the answers so that you can ask the next question. And so, I've talked like, this doesn't have to be, an expensive ordeal, and it doesn't have to be uber time consuming. Pick 2 weeks that you're going to dedicate yourself to your market research, and then you do it. Walk into professional places and talk to the people who would be users or resellers. Ask them if they would carry it. Ask them what the retail price should be. And if you can't fall into that bandwidth, then you might want to move on to your next idea, because this one's not going to make it. And I said, there's a reason why sometimes that you never find it in the marketplace, is because it's not going to do well in the marketplace.
And that's what my kind of secret was, is if I could get anything to a B, I would release it, like a flyer or the prototype, because I'd seen inventors on two opposite spectrums. So you have the engineering type that has a gold plaque on their wall with a patent. They've never sold one unit. And I was like,
I know.
I can't do that. And then you've got the guy in his garage that works on a guy or gal for 30 years, and they're changing one thing and they're going to eventually make it perfect. And like, I can't be on either side of that. I'm going to go in the middle. I'm actually going to start moving units, selling units, and being on store shelves by getting the product good enough to release. Because it's going to change. It's going to have a new version. And that was my biggest thing and setting deadlines, all that good stuff to make it more attainable.
Well, for a lot of our inventors, they'll join us at the Inventor Roundtable meetings. And one of the questions I normally ask is, what have you done since you were here last time? So it's kind of a homework assignment. It's like, what is your goal in the next month? Did you accomplish it? Why not? Life gets in the way for everybody. So that's one of the things that we look at there. But then, if they set a date for a show, they pick the next best show. For a lot of them, it's the National Hardware Show, because that's where I take a team of inventors. But it gives them a deadline to shoot for. Otherwise, it's like, well, I need to do this, but I didn't have time. I need to do this, but I didn't. It's like, oh my God, Rita's going to ask me, what did you do since the last time we talked? I need to hurry it up. So some of that is just, the mom or the teacher in me that says, did you get this done? And they say, yes, I did. Or it's like, no, don't ground me. I didn't get it done yet. But sometimes, it does give that inspiration that folks need to get the next step done. Otherwise, it's like, well, I've been doing it for 10 years. It's like, might have a problem with that.
That accountability is amazing, and glad you guys have that roundtable, and I got the invite, so I'm looking forward to that.
So, and we are looking forward to having you, because a lot of times inventors want to talk to that other inventor that's kind of been down the road. They want to know, one of the biggest providers of services that we need are somebody that can do those first prototypes. And that's the one thing, they'll do their duct tape and cardboard or Legos version, but it's that kind of proof of concept, maybe not the sexy version yet, but that proof of concept, so they understand angles and sides and sizes, and which way the nails have got to go, or the screws, or the glue gun, because a lot of times that's not their area of expertise. And rather than taking a year's worth of classes at the local startup place to learn how to use a rapid prototype machine, it's like, you know what, pay somebody a few $100s and get it done. So
pay for it.
That's kind of right.
You can.
Yeah. So anyway, Brandon, thank you so much. I look forward to having you involved with the Invent America segment more, and seeing you at the Inventors Roundtable.
Thank you guys so much.
Take care now.